AI is putting email marketing on easy mode if you know how to use it. Problem is, most people don't. And so you come out with a bunch of copy that sounds all robotic. It's got a bunch of weird dashes. It doesn't sound good. You have to spend like 45 minutes editing it. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about emails that sound like you. They have your voice. They have your stories. And you don't have to spend a bunch of time polishing them off. That's what we're going to be talking about in this video here, is how can you train AI to write emails that actually sound like you? And what are the important things that you need to know in order to be able to do that? Really quick, if you don't know me already, my name is Brice, and I have been working with online entrepreneurs, mostly course creators, for nearly the last 10 years, helping them get new customers and sell their products online. And now with the direction that AI is going, we're pretty much doing everything with AI these days. And that's what you're here for, right? Is talking about how we can get your email marketing done faster and better with AI. So let's get into it. Now, I think it is really important to understand why you're not getting the level of copy that you want out of AI already. And so what I see a lot of people doing is they're going on to Instagram, or they're finding some general prompt somewhere online. They're just kind of throwing that into ChatGPT, and they're not really giving it a lot of context in order to understand the brand, the voice, all of that stuff. And then when they're not happy with the copy, they kind of say like, hey, this just isn't working. But like, think about if you were hiring a new copywriter at your business, right? You wouldn't just like get them on day one and say, hey, go write me an email, and then expect them to do a great job. Like, you would spend time getting them trained on your brand voice. You would spend time getting them trained on your offers. You would spend time getting them trained on who's your audience and what are their problems and what are the things that have worked in the past. All of this stuff, you would train them on all of that, and then you would work with them through a few iterations, right? So they would send you some copy. You'd say, hey, this is good, but we want to adjust these things. We want to do this. You'd go through a few iterations, and then eventually, once they've been around for a few weeks, then you would start to expect that they would just turn out really good emails. AI is very much the same. So we want to do that same training process and that same iterative feedback process until we get AI to the point to where it's like, hey man, now when I just ask it for an email, it just shoots something out. One of those key pieces to be able to train your AI effectively is what's called a tone of voice document. And so this is where we have an analysis on exactly how your brand writes, and we have examples on exactly how your brand writes. And then every time we ask it to write, we're using that as a reference. This is what I would call like one of the 4 essential documents that you need to have when you are using AI to do any kind of copy or content writing. The cool thing is we can actually just make this with AI, right? So we don't have to go actually make that document. We can get AI to tell us what our tone of voice is based on stuff that we've already done. And so what we're gonna do is actually, we're just gonna make a tone of voice document with a brand that I could never even write for. So this is a brand that I found online. Been following with for a while. They sell some really cool products, and they're typically geared towards like older women, moms. And so the person who is the expert, she's like a very she's a very like girly sounding brand and tone. I could never write this, but I'm pretty sure AI can nail this really quickly. So here's what we're gonna do. I went and downloaded a bunch of their emails, right? And so I've got 7 of their emails here that I pulled from online. I've also got like a little template. So breaking down this prompt here, I've got it, I'm telling it exactly what I'm doing. So I'm giving it a task, and I'm telling it what kind of output I want. So I'm actually giving it some information on like, how to analyze, and then I've got a template for it to fill out so it knows what is the output that I want. And I think this is really important to understand like how your prompting is going to affect the output that you get from AI. So I'm just gonna hit enter. And so here we are like a minute later, and this has come out with a really good brand kind of voice and persona. So you can see I've got a bunch of information on how this brand would write. This example is this company called Mutu. So what are their voice characteristics? How would they write? And a bunch of information that pretty much any copywriter could use, but we're gonna use this as a document to create our project for where we write emails. So what I do for basically every single client that we work with at this point is I have what I call like our AI training docs. It's a folder that I keep on my computer or on Google Drive, wherever you want to do it, which is like, where are the docs that we always use when we are training AI on how to write or work with this brand. So I'm going to download this. I'm going to save this in our AI training docs folder. And then when I come back to Claude, what I can do is I can create a new project. And what I want to do is just, this can be like my, Mutu email copywriter. So this is gonna be the first document that we upload to our project knowledge base. And so this is the exact same process for ChatGPT, by the way. So with ChatGPT, you would just come here and create a new project, or you could even do like a custom GPT, but that's a little bit different. What I have found at the moment though, is Claude is just the best at writing like human copy on the very first try. And so I've been using Claude way more for actually like copy content sort of projects. But this is going to be the place that if we were writing for this brand, every time we wanted to write an email, we would always come back to here, and it's going to pull from that tone of voice guide and document. So this you can kind of just see, like, this is a project that we use to write copy for my brand. And you can see, like, I've got that tone of voice training document in here. And then I have some other documents that are about our avatar, all of that stuff, and then how to actually go ahead and write emails. So we're training it on everything it needs to know to be a really good email copywriter, just like what we talked about in the beginning, right? Where it's like, how would you train a new copywriter coming into your business to be a really good copywriter for what you guys want to do? That's what we're using with these Claude projects. But even just with that, you know, so now we've got the tone of voice. I added a little prompt in here so it kind of knows it's an email copywriter and how we like to write and all of that stuff. So we're just going to come up with a really simple prompt. Like, we want to write an email, we're going to sell our main product, and we want to talk about using the 80-20 principle to do it. So let's see what we can get just with this tone of voice doc. So this is the email that it came out with first try, and you can see here, like, it's already using that tone of voice that they were using in their emails. Hey mama. It's got a story. I was tidying up my office. I'll never forget that moment when I realized this. Sound like something familiar. And then it's relating the 80-20 principle into how that goes into helping their ideal customer. And then they built the system, 15 minutes a day. It's got a testimonial here. It probably embedded that testimonial, but we could just go in and swap that out for a real one. And then let's making an offer, and it's got a little PS line. So you can see here, really quickly, this came up with something just by knowing what that tone of voice doc does. And again, like I said, this is one of the 4 documents we've been using to, like, train these things. And so when you can get this down, it's super, super powerful. And I think it goes back to just that idea of thinking about AI like a new team member that you are hiring on your team, right? So you want to give them context, you want to train them, you want to give them the resources that they need to be successful, and then you want to iterate over time. Because, like, if we wanted to iterate this email, we could actually just do it by just typing here. So you're going to say, hey, this is great, but I really want to use this different story. Or this is really great, but can we make it a little shorter? Or this is really great, but can we make the subject line a little punchier, right? So all of that is stuff we could do iteratively through this email. But one of the other things I like to do is I'd like to just keep a list of what are the things that I constantly find myself going back and saying. And so that's where we end up with this big list of guidelines that I've kind of developed over time, where it's like, these are the things that I often find that I'm saying as I'm going back and forth, and I can build that into the project instruction so that next time it just knows that from the beginning. And this is a really, really great way to just do that kind of iteration and giving feedback so that every time you're doing this, you're getting better and better copy out the first time. And so this is really, really powerful stuff. Again, it used to take me an hour to write an email if I was doing it on my own. And I used to pay thousands of dollars a month to copywriters who, when I was running my agency and they were writing copy for our clients. Now we've got this down to some very simple prompts. You come up with the idea, you put it in there. With a little bit of iteration, you can get really, really good copy back. So this is super, super powerful stuff. I hope you can see that just in this video. If you have any questions about this, please just drop them down in the comments below. I will get back to you on that. Also, please like and subscribe, because of course that helps me make more videos and stuff like that. You know, all the YouTube things. I'll also have like a little link in the description for some other stuff if you want to learn more about how to use AI to write like you. Other than that, I hope you have a great day out there, and I hope to catch you in another video soon.